I'm Cheryl Keamy with Girls Gone Riding, a women's cycling community, back with another tip to help keep you independent while riding and safe. This week we're going to talk about changing your tire. And when I first began cycling, I had never as much as even thought about changing any tire on my car or anyone else. And after a few years of riding and letting other people change my tires for me, or worse, going to the bike shop and paying to have it done, I decided that I needed the independence and self-assurance to be able to change my own tire, and I figured that most people feel the same way. So today I'm going to show you how I change a tire, and I've watched many people do it, and everyone has kind of like their own idiosyncrasies of how they do it, but all of them are right if it works. So first of all, I want to make sure I let you know what tools to have ready. So I have one of these little packs that I got at a bike shop. It comes with some CO2 cartridges in it and one of these handy dandy CO2 implements, and what this does is it makes it possible for you to inflate your tire using CO2 while you're on the road. We're actually not going to use one of these today because there's no real way to show you without wasting one. So I'm going to use my bike pump. But just to let you know how to use it, you have a threaded CO2 cartridge and this thing, and it just screws into there. Then once it's all the way screwed in, this actually has the puncture capabilities to puncture the top in there to make the CO2 be able to come out. So after you have it screwed in, you spin this backwards twice while it's right near your valve on your tire, and it has enough pressure in it to inflate your tires so you can get back home again. So you want to make sure you have those. Of course, the other thing you want to make sure you have is a tube. Most of the time there are other cyclists in the group that will help you out if you, God forbid, have two flats on a ride, but always carry an extra tube with you. It's just polite to do that. And also, it's great to be able to offer it to someone if they need it while you're out riding. And the other thing that comes in these little packs is some tire levers. Now this one actually did not come in this pack. I bought these separate because the ones that came in there were kind of thin, and I tend to snap them, and you'll see why in a minute when I show you. But I bought a package of 3 of these because they're a little beefy, and I have actually large hands, and it makes it easier for me to manage. So here's my tire, which I have artificially flattened today. There is actually nothing in this tire to cause it to flat. I just let the air out. So the first thing you want to do is loosen this little washer. If your wheel has these little washers on the valves, take this off because you can't remove the tube if it's still on there. So take this little washer out. This is what it looks like. And then get your tire lever and just wedge it under the tire until it comes out of the wheel lip. Then run it all the way around to loosen it. That makes it possible for you to get to the tube, which you can see right here. So you remove the tube. And I do that without removing the tire. It actually makes it a little bit easier to get back on because you still have part of the tire that is still within the lip here. Then what I do next, and this is something you don't want to forget to do, is that you want to make sure that, pretend that we got this flat while we were riding, make sure that whatever caused the flat is no longer in the tire. So then you take your fingers and run it underneath the tire and feel for, take it kind of slow because if it is glass or a little piece of wedged metal, you could end up cutting yourself. But so lightly run your fingers under there to make sure that whatever's in there that caused the flat is gone. And then kind of examine the outside of the tire to make sure that there's no splits or cuts or anything on there. Okay, then get your new tube ready, and what I do is I will blow a little bit of air in it. You can either use a pump or just use your mouth. If there's just a little bit of air in it. It makes it easier to manage, and it makes it less likely to pinch, and pinching is something you want to totally avoid. So you put the valve into the hole, and then you work the tube, and while you're doing that, work it in and then put the tire back into the lip of the wheel. And you want to make sure that that tube is flat in there and is not twisted or bunched up, because that could cause you problems later. So you want the tube to lay flat against the inside of the wheel. Again, working the tire back into the lip of the wheel as you work your way around. And it gets harder as you get to the end because it's taut. The tire is taut in the wheel lip. And that's when your tire lever comes back into handy again. So this is when you want to use your tire lever as a lever to push it back into the lip of the wheel, just as I'm doing here. So you have it all the way around. And then the next step is also critical to make sure you didn't have it pinched. You just pull the tire and the tube away from the wheel so that you can be sure that the tube isn't pinched underneath the tire. As I'm doing here, until you get all the way back around again to your valve. And then I will take this, and each tube case comes with one of these in it. And I put it back on there at this point. This is actually a short valve, which I like better because for some reason the long ones tend to have a problem keeping them from getting split when I'm pumping them up. I must pull off the pump crookedly sometimes, and I tend to break some of the valves or from where the tube joins with the valve. The next thing you want to do is pump up your tire. If you're on the road, you'd use your CO2, but I'm not. I'm at home here, so I'll just use my regular tire pump. And there we go. And make sure your valve is tightened up, and you have changed your tire. So that's your tip for the week. I recommend that you take a chance to sit in front of the TV watching a movie. Take your front wheel off your bike and practice. Take the tube, deflate it, take it out, put it back in again a couple of times. That's all it really takes is practice, and it will really give you that independence and feeling of security when you're out there riding, especially if you're alone, but also in a group. So there you go. And I hope you'll take time to look at my blog. It's girlsgoneriding.blogspot.com, and also visit examiner.com, an online newspaper where I write Gilbert area cycling news for cyclists about local bicycling groups and individuals. So I hope you learned something today, and I hope you feel a little more secure in taking the time to learn how to change your own tire. Have a great day and ride on.